I cannot believe that it is time for me to pick the books that I want to read in the month of May, and that is insane that we are almost halfway into 2026. And also, it is time to pick my summer TBR probably in the next couple weeks. So if you do have a favorite book or two that is summer coded, please let me know in the comment below. But in today's video, I'm going to share with you all of the books that I plan to read in May. I'm actually not going to be using my 2026 TBR jar or even a random number generator because I know in May that my mission is going to be finishing hopefully 6 book series, and these are the last book in a book series that I was in the middle of. And if I'm able to read all of these 6 books in May, I will be able to check off another book series, which is gonna be great. So let's just jump right into the very first book. It's actually a fantasy duology. I read the first book, I believe in January or maybe February, and whenever I posted that book on Instagram, a couple people DM me saying that the second book is even better, which is kind of rare in my opinion. I feel like whenever there is a book series, the first book is usually the highest rated book. At least for me, it's up there because you learn about everybody, you learn about, you know, if it's fantasy, the world building, the magic system and all of that. And if it's like a romance book, you learn everything about the couples and also the side characters that are gonna be in the next few books. I just feel like most of the time the first book is pretty up here for me, and I cannot believe that a couple people are saying that this book is even better than the first one. And this book is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillick. This is the second book and the last book in the Shepherd King duology, and I cannot wait to read this one, hopefully in May. Like I mentioned, I read the first book, I believe in February, and the ending is not really a cliffhanger, so I didn't really feel like I need to rush to the second book right away. And I think it's also better, at least for me, to wait a couple weeks or so before reading the next book if I think the first book was really good. So it is the case for this one. The first book I think was really great. I read that book in maybe a couple sittings or so, and because a couple people have told me that this one is better, I could not wait to read it. And I knew that I have to pick this up sometime soon to be able to finish the story and kind of like wrap up all of the loose ends and the questions that I have from the first book. So these next 3 books are gonna be a contemporary romance book, the last one in a book series. The first one that I have is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I read the first book last year. I read the second book, I think also in February, and I could not wait to finally pick up the third book because this one is going to be about Hendrix. And we did learn a little bit about Hendrix from the first 2 books, and I just cannot wait to read about her story. She is single, she doesn't have any kids, she's not married, and she works in the entertainment industry. I think she's like a manager of different kind of like public figures, people like celebrity, and I think maybe there's a athlete as well. I don't remember, but we don't really learn a lot about her and also her love interest in the first 2 books. So I cannot wait to read about who it is, what is his occupation, how did they meet and stuff like that. I just feel like this book is probably gonna be my favorite out of the 3 books maybe, and I'm hoping that this is not gonna be as emotional as the first one, but I know there's still gonna be some type of level of depth. I know I'm hyping up this book so much, but I think I would have to bring it a little bit lower. So I know that once I finish it, it's gonna be back up here again. But anyways, if you have read this book, let me know in the comment below what your thoughts are, and I cannot wait to pick this up and kind of like wrap up this Skyline series. And then I'm definitely going to go over to the next book series that I have of Kennedy Ryan's, which is, I think I forgot what the series is called, but the first book is called Real, and the second book, Score, is coming out in May, and I have pre-ordered that book. So hopefully if I finish this book in May, I'm going to pick up Real maybe in June or something, and then pick up Score the next couple months after that. I cannot wait. Love Kennedy Ryan's writing style and just a lot of the quotes from the first and second books that I highlighted and probably will share eventually somehow, but I just love her writing. And if you have not read any Kennedy Ryan books, I would highly recommend the Skyline series, but just know that they are gonna be emotional and pretty sad at times, especially the first book. I cannot wait to also read a little bit about the main characters from the first and second book in here, because I know there's gonna be a little snippet of their life after their book ends. So I cannot wait to read this one as well. So this next one is gonna be the last book in the Kiss Quotient series by Helen Hong, and this one is called The Heart Principle. I've talked a little bit about Helen Hong's, or maybe a lot, but I really love her writing style. I have been avoiding reading this book because this is the last book in the series, and this series is the only books and book series that Helen Hong has published so far. So I don't really want to not have anything after reading this book, so I've been putting this off. I think I actually picked this up for January 2026 TBR, I want to say. Is that right? I don't remember, but I know that this was a part of a monthly TBR from previous months, and I just decided not to pick it up because, like I said, I don't want to not have anything by Helen Hong. But I think about a couple months ago, she posted on Instagram saying that she just submitted something to either her editor or her agent or something, so I know that she has something in the works, hopefully for the next couple years. So that's why I decided to finally pick this book up, finish this amazing book series. The second book, The Bright Test, is probably my top #1 book that I read in 2025. So make sure to pick up that book if you haven't read any of Helen's books. I heard that this book is the book that is closest to her experience from her life. And this book is also written in first-person POV, where the first and second book is in the third person. So I think she really poured her whole heart into this book. I cannot wait to read this. I feel like if I know Helen Hong's writing, I think this is gonna be another 5-star read for me. So this next one is gonna be the second book in the series that actually just published this year. I'm not really sure if this is gonna be the last book in the series. I don't know if there's gonna be a possibility of a third book. I haven't heard any announcement, but this book is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I read the first one, First Time Caller, last year in November, I want to say. I didn't really love that book as much. I do love Good Spirits way better than that one, but I'm hoping that this one is going to be a better book for me because apparently this was inspired by When Harry Met Sally, and that is one of my most favorite romance movies of all time. I definitely rewatch that movie like a couple times a year, but I really hope that this one is gonna be way better. This is gonna be about Jackson and Delilah, which we kind of learned a little bit about on the first book. He works with Aiden at the radio station, and she works for, I think, the TV station next door or something. Basically, in that first book, he complained a lot about her and how she didn't really park correctly at her assigned parking spot, and it kind of overlapped to his assigned parking spot or something like that. I feel like it's gonna be a little bit of like an enemy to friends to lover type of situation, and I heard that he is the grumpy one and she is the sunshine. So he is more like Sally in When Harry Met Sally, and she is more like Harry, which is kind of like easygoing, kind of funny and all of that. So I cannot wait to read this one. Hopefully, like I said, I will like it way better than the First Time Caller book that I read last year. And again, let me know in the comment below if you have read this book. Okay, so these last two books are gonna be YA romance. Technically, they're not officially a series, I think, but I think it is on Goodreads now. I just love the first book that I read from these authors that I really want to read the second one to finally complete the series. So this one is called ASAP by XEO. I read the first book, which was called XOXO, and I really adored that book. It was one of the happiest books that I've read. I didn't feel any sadness or anything from that book, which is great. This is a YA romance book, like I mentioned, and this couple, we do learn about them in the first book, and they mention quite a lot in the first one. So I think if you want to read this one, I would highly recommend reading XOXO first before this one. Anyways, this one is about Sori and Nathan. They used to date, I think, a few years ago, but they broke up because I think her mom didn't approve of their relationship. Basically, in this universe, I guess, all of these characters that you will learn about if you read XOXO and ASAP, they all attend this boarding high school in Korea, and most of the students are basically either an aspiring actresses or actors, or they are in a K-pop band and they are training to become a group and eventually would have like a debut after they completed their training and rehearsal and all of that. So Nathan is actually part of a up and coming K-pop band, and she is, I think she's an actress if I'm not mistaken, but her mom is actually the owner or the manager of the label that he is under. So her mom doesn't really want them to be involved or anything like that, but I think this is gonna be a second chance romance, and I just cannot wait to read this one. Hopefully it's gonna be one of the happiest book I read in 2026. I just really love the first book, and I actually lent it out to my sister hoping that she'll read it because she is a big K-pop fan as well, and I think she will like this book series as well. So that's why I let her borrow the first one, and after I read this, maybe I will let her borrow this one as well. Last but not least, this one is You've Found Oliver by Dustin Tao. This one is the second book after You've Reached Sam, which I read last year. I kind of avoided that book last year because I heard that it is a sad book. It is about Sam who passed away and Julie, who is his girlfriend at the time. They were both still in high school. They got so close so quick, and they had this big grand plan for after high school, but unfortunately he passed away, and now her plan was kind of like not really going anywhere. So in the first book, she actually called Sam's old phone number and somebody actually pick up on the other line. And in this one, Oliver is actually Sam's best friend from the first book, and instead of calling, he's been texting Sam's old phone number, and I think somebody replied back to his text, and that is how I think they met. I think the love interest is Ben, and Ben is a student in Seattle, and this whole story is set in a town that is about 30 to 45 minutes away from Seattle. I forgot where the small town is, but it is in the PNW area, so I think it's gonna be an interesting, probably like more like fall read, but I'm gonna read it in May because I want to finish this book series and find out the story between Oliver and Ben. So those are all of the 6 books that I am planning to read in May, and hopefully I'll be able to finish this book series next month, and if I am able to, that would be great.